What's good, what's grand, what is going on? This is Good Stuff with Steph. Last podcast episode of January 2021. How are you doing today? It's Sunday, 8:57 a.m. I woke up at 6:50 a.m. because I felt like it, and I've been up ever since then. I had a nice breakfast with bread, scrambled egg, and cheese. So, it was only one slice of bread, which just felt kind of odd for like a grilled cheese type of sandwich. So I was just like, something's missing. The other slice of bread. But I just, all right, I didn't complain. I made the breakfast this morning, so I guess it was fine. My mom was taking a shower, and after that, she was like, this bread is so, like, crunchy. Why is it so hard? And I'm like, because every time we eat, you're doing something else. And every time you eat, it's like 2 in the morning, you know? So, like, work around our schedule. But seriously, she does that way too often. It's a really bad habit. What can you do? You know, you talk to them, you tell them, hey, stop doing that, and they don't listen. Gosh, parents, am I right? No, same thing with the kids too, but I guess it depends on like your maturity level. I feel like for me, I matured at a really young age. Even though I do have some immature thoughts, I'm not gonna lie about that. I feel like I matured pretty early. Like, I already understood the rules at a young age. I feel like giving your kids a set of rules is way better than like giving your kids all the luxury in the world. And hey, I'm not trying to tell, you how to parent your kid or how your parents should treat you, stuff like that. But this is from my perspective. As an 18-year-old, I've had 18 years of experience. No. Yeah, I guess I could say that because like my parents, they did have discipline with me. They did, set out rules and stuff. They didn't say like, hey, you know what, do whatever you want, do as you please, have fun all the time. They enforced the rules at a young age, and I was like, all right, I guess I should follow the rules. I always question this. I was talking to my friend about this like the other day too. I was just saying like, dang, how come I didn't turn out to be like a drug addict or not yet, at least, knock on wood, or like how come I like don't go out like 2 in the morning, how come I'm like not like a full-on rebel, like why don't I cuss my parents out? I mean, like I don't really cuss that much, but I still question, I'm like, how did my parents raise me to like be the way that I am today? Because I could have turned out so differently if I just like didn't listen to them. But something in the back of my head kept telling me you should still listen to them, because I feel like I've just always had a gut feeling like, I think my parents are gonna take care of me. Even though you want to go on your own, you want to be an individual person, like an actual individual where you're on your own, where you don't have your parents like, okay, it's 9 o'clock, where you don't have your parents just like, like a few feet behind you. I'm just hearing noises. Anyway, it just feels like, when am I actually going to be out on my own? Because my parents always say, even when you're older, we want you to be close to us. It's like, are you kidding, bro? Sometimes I just want to go far, far away because you guys are toxic. When the parents ask, where did you learn that kind of stuff? Most of the time, it's either from your friends, but if you're smart enough, not that you're dumb or anything, most of the stuff that you learn is from the parent. Like your parents can speak a certain way to each other, and as a young kid, you might think, oh, well, they haven't told me not to talk like this, so I guess this is the right way to interact with people. Or like, this is the way that I would interact with my parents, because my parents were like, they would interact like a certain way with each other. Oh, this is how you converse with each other? Okay, that's cool. I guess I can talk to you like this too. Right? But then when I did it, it was backlash. It was like, oh, you can't behave like that. I'm like, what do you mean? You talk like this to each other, so why can't I talk to you like that? Like, I wouldn't talk that way to my friends, or I guess my few I just knew people, but like, I don't really know if I could call them my friend. It's just like, I don't know, I grow close to people, just not one particular person. I mean, like, maybe if we have some sort of intimate relationship, then maybe you're a little closer, but also like, I don't really know, I don't really consider that to be like your best friend. I don't know. I mean, it's not like you should know, I guess you should know a certain amount of things from that other person. It's like, yeah, I guess this is like, you know more than my regular friends do. I guess that does play a tiny factor in, and also just like, you've just known each other for a really long time, and you guys get each other. I guess that could be, there are multiple factors into a best friend. What makes a best friend? I don't really know, but why are we talking about this so early in the morning? Damn. And today I'm just planning on getting heads on my math homework for next week. Calc gang, haha. I'm gonna watch a play, because I do in a theater class, very cool. Theater appreciation, I think it's really cool. It's like, I feel like it's a night class, which kind of sucks, but also it's like, theater is better appreciated at night, when people are like, not almost asleep, but it's like, it's close to bedtime or whatever. So I watched Phantom of the Opera in New York, and I was like, that was the shit. That was so cool, and I was like, wow, all this like lighting, tech plays a really big role in theater, obviously, because it's like, without the lighting, without the mics, how can you hear anything? They can have booming voices, but still, it's really, it's better to have, like, surround sound, and lighting. Like, you could just be behind the light and you can, like, play game to the actor on stage. Oh, you said, like, your actors run over here, you bring it over there, actors run the other way. I mean, I guess lighting is just really important, and it's a really good way to visualize. I guess sometimes things are better in the dark. I don't know where that sentence is going. I never know where that sentence is going. I mean, I did do theater when I was a kid. Acting, I guess you could say. Yeah. So, didn't mean to flex or anything. I joined a theater appreciation class. It's really cool. We just watch plays, we write 2-page essays on it, and then we just, have a Zoom call, once. And I also joined an intro to film class. I'm very excited about that. I already got recruited from the other students there. I'm kidding, no. But yeah, they were like, hey, they scouted me out in the Zoom class. There were like only 9 kids in that class, 4 hours long, which is fine, I guess, but we ended early the first class. I need a burp. Excuse me. I feel like I burped in every podcast already. Yeah, I joined a film class, and they're like, dude, we like you. You're kind of funny. I'm like, oh shit, really? Oh my god, I'm just being my quirky self. Oh god. We have a group chat so far, but I guess my professor and her TA are discussing, where to put us, and I really hope that the 4 of us stay in the same group, because that'd be really cool. I'm gonna watch a lot more movies. As a film major, I would like to indulge myself in more movies. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm actually okay with, leaving computer science on the back burner. Okay, it's on the back burner. It's still there. I haven't completely given up on it yet. It really makes you question, like, who really gives a shit about you anymore, I feel like nobody gives a shit about you. Like, someone that's not themselves, because everyone has so much to deal with. Everyone has, like, something going on in their life. Something. Even if it's, like, the tiniest thing. Everybody has something going on in their life. And, like, no matter how much you want somebody else to care about you, it feels like you have to realize that everyone has their own priorities. And it's gonna be, like, a matter of time before somebody's like, hey, how are you doing? Because sometimes in conversations, right? In any conversation, you can be like, hey, guys, how you guys doing? Like, oh, yeah, I'm fine. And that's it. That's like the smallest thing. You can be like, oh yeah, how are you doing? Because it's like, it kind of takes, it's a pretty basic conversation starter. It's like, how are you doing, right? But I feel like, getting that same question back to you, it's like, oh wow, thank you. Thank you for, thinking of me. It's like a basic conversation starter, right? And some people, I guess it just doesn't cross their mind. Not because, I'm not saying that they're like a bad person or anything. I'm just saying it's like, maybe it's because people aren't used to having a conversation like that. People just kind of go into their day and just be like, oh yeah, I'm doing this, they never, like, sit down and have, like, talks and stuff like that. I feel I'm reading the female brain, and it's interesting how, like, females are more likely to, indulge in conversation, find out more about someone, really just sit down and, like, understand stuff. While the males are more competition, sex. That's a really big part of their brain that they're constantly thinking about. It's like, what? No, it's like, well, if you're not thinking about it consciously, you're subconsciously probably thinking about it. Who knows? But people are focused more on, like, work, career, than sex, I guess. But I guess everyone's different, and it just goes to show how we prioritize, how we're, what we set our mind to. I feel like a lot of the stuff comes from parents. Like, if you don't have a stable, person who can guide you, who can truly help you, who truly wants to help you, then you'll never really look for somebody to, trust. You'll never really you'll never really find someone who you can trust, and, like, who you can tell your, your, not your problems, but tell your, your daily worries, tell your shit to be honest. You don't really have someone to have a normal conversation with, just talking about you, right? Because it feels like sometimes if you didn't have that, connection at a young age with, like, an adult who you thought you could trust, if you never had that connection, you feel like when you're older now, you really don't want that connection, because it just feels awkward. It's like, you never built your connection, you never built that stability up to the age that you are now, and you're like, why do I want to open up to anyone? Because nobody, nobody reached out to me when I was younger, right? Because when you're younger, you don't open up to people because you're taught. Somebody has to teach you that first, I guess. But, I guess some people just naturally know to reach out to people. But, a lot of this stuff you have to be taught. And if nobody ever taught you, you're like, hey, I'm always here for you. You should, if you're feeling down, you should always reach out to someone, somebody who you can trust. And if you never had that experience at a young age, you kind of, like, block yourself off, and you don't want to And it's like, I don't want this to be a problem for you. I don't want to put my problems on you. And it's like a really big, it's like, why don't we, we're human. Like, shouldn't we be here to like help each other out? Why are we bringing each other down? What's all this competition about? This male competition, this egotism, all that shit. And it's just like, a lot of times I do know that a lot of boys are like, a lot of guys, they're like, ugh, feelings, gosh, no thanks, right? Because a lot of times it's like, like, oh yeah, boys are rowdy, boys are, they're tough. They don't follow the rules, stuff like that. It's like, well, why? I guess it's also part of the brain. It's also how, like, boys' brains are configured and girls' brains are configured differently. It's very interesting how a lot of this comes from just, caveman age, I guess you could say that. There's probably a better term for this. Well, I can't think. And it's like, this is some of the stuff you're not taught. Some of the stuff is just because this is how, the different brains are formed. And it's like, when it comes to, talking, like actual having conversations, you're like, oh my God, this is so boring. Yeah, I guess sometimes we have this subconscious like pride that we want to, establish. We're like, dude, I'm not some soft boiled egg. I'm a hard boiled egg, okay? I don't spill out my feelings to you. No, I'm a hard boiled egg, okay? You gotta crack the shell a bunch of times where you can finally peel off the outer layer before you get to know me. I'm a hard boiled egg, And it's just like, that's very interesting how, not everybody's like this. Not every guy, not every girl, whatever, non-binary, whatever person you are. Not everybody is like the stereotypical, female or male or whatever, gender, non-gender, etc., It's very interesting how this works. But yeah, I feel like a lot of us are hard-boiled eggs. And, some of us are soft-boiled eggs. Some of us are scrambled. And it just goes to show, I guess a lot of the stuff really does stem from having somebody, just somebody of higher, not authority, of higher knowledge, somebody more ancient, quote unquote ancient, who can help guide you, throughout your life. And it's like, if you didn't have that as a kid, you just kind of, it feels like you don't know what you're doing now, right? Or if somebody just let you do whatever you want as a kid, you kind of feel like, well, I can do whatever I want now because that's how I was raised, And it's like, you have to have this kind of structure to get to, form some characteristics for yourself, right? Just, I don't know what I've said. Wow, it's been 20 minutes. I don't know what I've said in these past 20 minutes. I don't remember anymore. See, this is why I need somebody else here to, like, so I can bounce my ideas off of. Bang, 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 like that. But I don't. It's just me. I'm looking outside. I'm doing hand gestures. I feel like I'm really, I don't know. Dang. I think this is a lot for you guys to think about. If you guys are actually listening to this podcast, or if you're watching this podcast, this is something to think about. Yeah, I guess this is how you establish yourself. How do you better yourself? Obviously nobody wants to like, ugh, I hate like talking about like, glowing up and shit like that. You're just like, this is not of my caliber, whatever. But I guess this is just something to think about. I don't know. I never know. I just say stuff. And sometimes they're good points, and sometimes it's like, shut up already. But yeah, this is my last episode of January. Thank you guys for listening. If I had more people, I think this would be more interesting. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. Hope you guys have a great day. And I'll see you next time. Next week, probably. But yeah, I'm colleging now. I have to balance work and play. This is not exactly play. This is just leisure advice. So if this was interesting to you, that's cool. Thanks for listening. Peace out.